Hello and welcome to this video on subtracting decimals. Let's do an example. Example number 1. Work out 0.7 take away 0.2. So if you've watched any of the other videos on adding and subtracting, you will know that you need to lay out your workings in a column. And crucially with decimals, you need to line up the decimal point. So let's do that for this example. So 0.7 take away 0.2. So what I'm going to do is straight away I'm going to put that decimal point there, because once I've put my decimal points in line, everything else will fall into place and digits of the same place value will be in line with each other. So the 0 here in the units and ones column, they're both in line, and the 2 here in the tenths column is in line with the 7 in the tenths column above. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract these, and we always start on the right hand side, so we always start here. So if you start off by doing 7 take away 2. Now I'm just saying 7 take away 2 for example purposes, but please bear in mind this is 7 tenths take away 2 tenths. I'm just going to say 7 take away 2 for example purposes. So 7 take away 2 is 5. I'm going to put my decimal point in line with the others, and then I'm going to do 0 take away 0, which is just 0. So the answer to my question there is 0.5. Example 2. 3.2 take away 1.8. So I'm going to do my first decimal, and I'm going to put the decimal point in straight away, and I'm going to put 1 and the 8 around it, like so. Draw my answer lines. Start on the right hand side, so start here, and remember you're reading from top to bottom, so it's 2 take away 8. Again, remember I'm saying 2 take away 8 for example purposes, but it is 2 tenths take away 8 tenths technically. Now in this situation we can't do 2 take away 8, so I have to look to this column here, and I have to borrow or exchange from this column. So that is going to reduce by 1 from 3 to 2, and then I can borrow a 10 and make that a 12. And so 12 take away 8 is 4. Put my decimal point in line, and then the next part of my question is 2 take away 1, which is just 1. So my answer to that one is 1.4. Example 3. 6.82 take away 4.18. So 6.82. Again, line up your decimal points, so I'm going to put that decimal point there straight away, and then I'm going to put the 4 and the 1/8 there. Show that it's a subtraction, draw my answer lines, and remember you start on the right hand side. I'm going to do 2 take away 8. So 2 take away 8 I can't do in this instance, so I'm going to borrow from here. That reduces by 1 to a 7. And then I can make that into a 12. So it now becomes 12 take away 8, which is 4. This question now becomes 7 take away 1, which is 6. Put my decimal point in line with all the others, and then 6 take away 4 is 2. So my answer to that is 2.64. Example number 4. 9.12 take away 7.6. So 9.12, put your decimal point in really clearly, and then 7.6, I'm going to put the decimal point there straight away so that I know it's in line, and then my 7 is going to go under there in the units and ones column, and the 6 is going to go there in the tenths column, but I can see that the decimal on the top has a number in the hundredths column, whereas the 7.6 doesn't appear to have anything in the hundredths column. But I can make that easier for myself by putting in a place value holder of just a 0. So now I can do my subtraction. So read from top to bottom. 2 take away 0 is 2. 1 take away 6 I cannot do in that instance, so I'm going to borrow from here. That reduces by 1, and then I get an 11 here. So that becomes 11, take away 6, which is 5, put my decimal point in place, and the final part of my question is 8, take away 7, which is 1. 1.52 is my answer. Example number 5, 8.6, take away 5.27. So again, make sure your decimal points are in line, and then everything else will fall into place. 5.27, and I can see that this number has a number in the hundredths column. That 7 is in the hundredths column, but there's nothing in the hundredths column here, so I have to put a 0 here as a place value holder. So that first part of my question now is 0, take away 7. Don't be tempted to put 7 there, okay? Because you've got to read from top to bottom, remember. So it's 0, take away 7, which in this instance I cannot do. So I've got to borrow from here. That reduces by 1 to 5. Now I've got 10. Remember, I'm just saying 10 for example purposes, but do remember that the place value of this column is hundredths. But I'm just saying 10 for example purposes. So 10 take away 7 is 3. 5 take away 2 is 3. And 8 take away 5 is 3. 3.33. Example 6, 24.6. Take away 17.83. So line up the decimal points, really, really important. 17.83. And again, I can see that my 17.83 has a number in the hundredths column, whereas this one above doesn't. But I'm going to make sure that I've kept everything in line and put a 0 there. So now the first part of my question becomes 0, take away 3, because remember we work from top to bottom. So 0, take away 3, can't do in this instance, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to borrow or exchange from this column. That now becomes a 10. 10 take away 3 is 7. 5 take away 8, I cannot do. Borrow from here. That becomes a 3. That now becomes 15. 15 take away 8 is 7. 3 take away 7, I cannot do. So borrow from here, that reduces to 1. That becomes a 13. 13 take away 7 is 6. And then this final column here is just 1, take away 1, which is nothing, so you can either put a 0 there or leave it blank. And your final answer is 6.77. Example number 7 is 10 take away 7.36. Okay, so let's write down the number 10. And you might be thinking, well, this is a bit confusing because where's the decimal point? Well, remember, any number can be written with a decimal point, but you can just write it like this, 0.0. But here I can see that this actually has 2 digits after the decimal point. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to put another 0 after the decimal point. So actually I'm going to put 2 zeros after the decimal point so that my 7.36 lines up with it. So put the decimal point in straight away, put your 7 there, and the 3, 6 here. Show it's a subtraction, put your answer lines, and remember we always start on the right hand side and we read from top to bottom. So the question here is 0 take away 6. Well, I can't do that, so I have to look to the next column. Got a problem there. There's nothing there to borrow from. Okay, let's look to the next column. Nothing there to borrow from. Okay, next column. Okay, finally we've got something we can borrow from. So that is going to reduce by 1 to nothing, to 0. This temporarily becomes a 10, but I don't need the 10 there. I need the 10 all the way over here. So that gets crossed out to be a 9. and that 10 temporarily goes there, but I don't need the 10 there, I need the 10 here. So that crosses out to be a 9 as well. And then this is finally where I need it to be. So my question now is 10 take away 6, which is 4. This column now is 9 take away 3, which is 6. Put my decimal point in. This column is 9 take away 7, which is 2. And then this final column here is just 0 take away, well, there's a 0 there because that number is 7.36. So it's 0 take away 0, which is just 0, so you can either put 0 there or you can leave it blank, and your final answer there is 2.64. Okay, similar question now, 20 take away 13.71. Well, it appears like 20 hasn't got any decimal points or places, but in actual fact you can just put 0.00, and because this has got 2 digits after the decimal point, I'm going to put 2 zeros after the decimal point. So it becomes 20.00, and then I'm going to put 13.71 underneath it, like so. Starting on the right hand side, and reading from top to bottom, 0 take away 1 I can't do, so I normally have to borrow, but I can't borrow from there, I can't borrow from there, I can borrow from here, that goes down to 1, that becomes a 10, but I don't need the 10 there, I need it here, so let's cross that out and that becomes a 9. That temporarily becomes a 10, but I don't want it there, I want it here, so that becomes a 9. And this is now where I need it. 10 take away 1 is 9. 9 take away 7 is 2. Put my decimal point in line. 9 take away 3 is 6. And 1 take away 1 is 0. So I can either put 0 there or just leave it blank. I'm going to leave it blank in this case. So my answer to that is 6.29. Okay. Hopefully that's been useful. Here are some questions for you to now have a go at by yourself. So make sure you lay them out in a column, and really, really importantly, make sure those decimal points are lined up. So pause the video now, have a go at those, and then resume the video to see the answers. So here are the answers now. Okay, well done for having a go at those.